This is a land of big skies and hard choices. The sun climbs high over the African plains, and the light falls hot and bright on grass that bends in the wind. Dust hangs in the air. In the distance, you can hear birds calling, hooves thudding, and the low rumble of life on the move. It is beautiful out here, but it is never easy. Every day is a test of strength, speed, and nerve. And somewhere in that wide, open world, hunters and the hunted are already reading each other's every move. We are stepping into a place where even a small mistake can change everything. If you love wild places like this, say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. And to begin our journey, let's meet one of the most powerful survivors on the plains. The African plains stretch out like an open sea of gold, flat and wide under a hard blue sky. Dry grass sways in the wind, and dust hangs in the air like a thin veil. The heat shimmers over the ground, and even the shadows seem to hold still. Out here, there are no walls, no hiding places for long, and every patch of shade feels precious. This is a land of constant motion, where herds move, birds circle, and predators wait with patience. Buffalo, lions, zebras, vultures, and many more all live by the same simple rule: stay alert or pay the price. The plains may look peaceful from far away, but up close, they are full of drama. And right here, in the tall grass, we meet one of the most powerful animals of them all, the buffalo. Dusk cools the savanna, and a shadow begins to move. Rosettes ripple like broken moonlight as the ghost of the grasslands tests the wind. This is the leopard, silent muscle wrapped in camouflage, entering the savage kingdom's oldest trial. A single hunter against hunger, thieves, and the dark. Meet the African leopard, ranging across open savannas, woodlands, rocky kopjes, and even mountain forests. Compact yet powerful, an adult here often weighs around 130 pounds, a perfect balance of strength and agility. Where lions rule by noise and numbers, the leopard rules by silence. It survives not by being seen, but by making sure it isn't. Painted by nature in rose-shaped spots, the leopard wears a coat that breaks its outline into light and shadow, a living patchwork that disappears under acacia dapple and on granite ledges. The fur runs from gold to deep tawny, pale beneath, with rosettes unique to each cat, its signature in a world with no paper. A long, counterbalancing tail writes curves through branches. Wide paws ride on thick pads that mute footsteps to whispers. The shoulders and neck are sculpted like coiled springs, built to hoist heavy prizes into the treetops. Retractable claws stay razor-ready, while a hooked dew claw works like a climbing carabiner on rough bark. Forward-facing eyes catch faint starlight thanks to a reflective tapetum lucidum. The ears swivel like satellite dishes, locking onto hoofbeats in grass you'd swear was empty. Whiskers map the world in darkness, feeling the width of a gap before the body commits. Every line of this cat, low profile, flexible spine, compressed power, exists to vanish, to stalk, and to explode. The leopard's day is mostly night. It hunts by patience, letting the world make the first mistake. A glance becomes a plan. Check the wind, find cover, melt into shade, step, freeze, belly creep. When the distance drops to a heartbeat, the cat ignites. 2, maybe 3 seconds of violence, jaws to the throat or nape, and the grass goes quiet. Before hyenas even notice, the leopard cashes its paycheck. It hauls the kill skyward, threading branches with a weight many gym memberships can't deliver, sometimes twice its own. Up there, dinner cools in the starlight. The menu is long. Impala, warthog, young zebra, guinea fowl, even fish and monkeys if the opportunity smiles. Daylight hours are for shade on a ledge, a forked branch, or deep thicket, ribs rising slow, ears on duty. Between hunts, it patrols the mental map, game trails, water, bottlenecks, refreshing scent marks on tree trunks with urine and claw scrapes. Voice is rare, but unmistakable. A rasping, sawing call that sounds like a tree being cut. Here, it says, without ever showing a face. Leopards are introverts with excellent boundaries. Adults live solitary lives, each holding a territory. Males typically overlap several females' ranges, but they avoid each other like professionals who know how bad office drama can get. Meetings are brief and purposeful. During mating, a few intense days of courtship and truce. Then it's back to quiet. Females den their cubs in caves, hollow logs, or thorn tangles, moving them often to dodge lions, hyenas, and wandering males. Cubs nurse and learn by play. Ambushes on mom's tail, miniature stalks on grasshoppers, before graduating to drag and pounce lessons on small prey. Many don't make it. Cub mortality is high in this competitive neighborhood. Independence comes around 18 to 24 months, when a young leopard must read the land and write its own story without getting edited by a larger cat. Communication remains subtle. Scent, scrapes, and that saw-like cough are the living notices on this invisible bulletin board. As a versatile apex mesopredator, the leopard shapes the savanna from the shadows. It trims antelope numbers, culls weak and unwary prey, and redistributes nutrients. Carcasses cached in trees feed insects and scavenging birds below. By climbing while lions and hyenas mostly dominate the ground, it carves its own lane, reducing direct conflict and keeping the food web balanced. Its genius is adaptability. From humid forests to highland rocks, even skirting the edges of farms, it adjusts diet and schedule like a seasoned survivor. Yet snares, habitat loss, and poisoning still cut deep. The species is listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, a reminder that even masters of concealment can't hide from shrinking wilds. The leopard is the savage kingdom's quiet thesis, power that doesn't brag, courage that doesn't crowd. It embodies the spirit of survival, brutal in the moment that decides everything, invisible until that moment arrives. Noon hammers the savanna flat. Lions melt into shade, hyenas vanish into the grass, and the air trembles with heat. Then a black shadow moves like a continent on legs. The African elephant, calm on the outside, iron-willed within. In a kingdom ruled by hunger and thirst, this giant fights its wars without fangs of fear. Its battlefield is water, memory, and time. Meet the African elephant of the sun-scorched savannas and woodlands, the largest land mammal on Earth. Standing up to 10.8 feet at the shoulder and weighing over 6.5 tons, it is an engineer of nature in a place that never gives gifts. Tusks can stretch past 6.5 feet, crowns of ivory that double as tools, and at the center of everything, a trunk with roughly 40,000 muscles, precise enough to pluck a single leaf, powerful enough to hoist a log. Painted the color of thunderclouds and dust, the elephant wears a suit of wrinkled armor. Those wrinkles aren't just style. They trap water and mud, turning skin into a long-lasting cooling system and a shield against sun and parasites. Ears spread wide like sails, latticed with blood vessels that shed heat when the world becomes an oven. Each foot is a moon-sized cushion, fat pads and elastic tissue that spread weight, soften steps, and let a 6-ton animal move with the stealth of a rumor. Tusks curve outward like twin sabers, built for prying roots, stripping bark, and chiseling into dry riverbeds. The trunk is a living multi-tool, a muscular rope tipped with 2 dexterous fingers that can sniff, touch, lift, and pour, switching from a surgeon's touch to a bulldozer's shove without missing a beat. A keen sense of smell. Reads the wind like a library. Rain coming, water underground. Who passed by last night? High shoulders and a sloping back carry a furnace of muscle, dense bones, and a long skull anchor that incredible trunk and tusks. Even their eyes, shaded by long lashes, are small sentries against dust and glare. Every piece is sculpted by heat, distance, and the harsh math of survival. Elephants are tireless foragers, grazing on grasses at dawn and dusk, then browsing on branches, leaves, and bark when the light softens. An adult can put away hundreds of pounds of vegetation a day, part lawnmower, part tree pruner, part excavator. Tusks take down saplings and tip deadwood. What looks like destruction is strategic landscaping. The trunk does the fine work, a twist for tender leaves, a pinch for thorns turned harmless, a blast of dust for sunscreen, a slurp of water that turns into a fountain. As heat peaks, they slow beneath shade or seek the nearest pan of mud. In the dry season, routine becomes pilgrimage. The matriarch reads the air and the ground. Then the herd walks 10, 20, 30 miles, if they must, toward water hidden in sand or promised in thunder. That nose can detect rainstorms far away and the whisper of moisture beneath cracked earth. At waterholes, their presence redraws the map. Hyenas step aside, lions calculate. Everyone pays attention when the big feet arrive. Most days are orderly: feed, walk, drink, rest. But on this stage, calm is a strategy. When a calf stumbles or a predator gambles, those tusks stop being tools and start being verdicts. Elephants live by the wisdom of their elders. Family groups are led by a matriarch, an older female whose memory holds maps no satellite could store. Hidden springs, safe crossings, seasonal grasses. Daughters, sisters, and calves travel in a loose, breathing constellation around her. Calves nurse for years and are guarded like treasure. Ants babysit, teenagers practice discipline, and the whole herd forms a living wall when danger presses in. Lions and hyenas rarely challenge adults, but a calf on the wrong side of the herd makes the grass twitch with risk. The response is immediate. A circle tightens, trunks raise, ears flare, and the ground begins to drum. Communication is a web of rumbles that roll below our hearing, seismic whispers that travel through earth and air. Greetings are ritual and tender, trunk to mouth, to temple, to tail. Bulls, driven by their own seasons, drift in and out, forming bachelor groups or roaming alone. When they meet, manners may turn to arm wrestling with tusks, all heft and posture. Through it all, leadership is earned in miles walked and crises remembered. Call them architects of abundance. By felling trees and opening thickets, elephants let sunlight flood the ground, inviting a carpet of fresh grass that feeds antelope, zebra, and buffalo. Their tusk-dug wells become relief stations for warthogs and birds. Seeds swallowed on one hillside are planted and fertilized miles away, stitching habitats together. Trails beaten by generations become highways for everything on four legs. In a place where every drop counts, their ability to smell and dig water can keep entire neighborhoods alive. Egrets ride the wave, oxpeckers pick at parasites, and the whole savanna breathes easier because giants make space. In a savage kingdom where sharp teeth write many stories, the elephant reminds us that power can be patient and battles can be won with memory, muscle, and mercy. It embodies the spirit of endurance, unyielding, essential, and fiercely gentle when gentleness is a choice. The river looks calm until the log grows eyes. In Uganda's shrinking dry season channels, meals get scarce, tempers get shorter, and the oldest ambusher on earth sharpens its patience. When the last meal is on the table, the Nile crocodile doesn't chase it. It lets hunger come to the water's edge. This is the Nile crocodile of Uganda's rivers and lakes, from the White Nile at Murchison Falls to the Kazinga Channel in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Built like a living low-profile submarine, it waits with nostrils and eyes riding high, everything else erased by glare and shadow. Its jaws can clamp with around 5,000 psi of force, enough to turn a careless sip into a final mistake. Painted by nature in olive and bronze, the Nile crocodile wears a coat of rugged scales studded with bony plates called osteoderms, armor that shrugs off thorns, bumps, and the occasional bad idea from a predator. A long, muscular tail supplies the horsepower, turning still water into a catapult when it needs to launch. The head is a wedge, eyes and nostrils perched on top like periscopes, so the body can remain invisible under the surface. Conical teeth grip rather than slice, and new teeth grow in to replace old ones. Nature's lifetime dental plan. A nictitating membrane works like built-in goggles, clearing vision underwater, while a palatal valve closes off the throat so it can open its mouth without drowning. Black freckles, tiny sensory organs, dot the scales, reading the slightest ripple of a hoof step upstream. Heat is managed with sun-soaked scutes, an open-mouthed gaping, a reptilian version of a radiator. Slow metabolism, a four-chambered heart, and dive-ready blood chemistry let it hold breath for long stretches. Patience is not just a virtue here, it is a physiology. Speed is optional. Timing is everything. A Nile crocodile can float like a shadow for hours or even days, staking out crossing points where zebras, antelopes, or warthogs must drink. It uses banks, overhanging reeds, and afternoon glare as camouflage. The strike is a thunderclap. Jaws snap, a body twists, and the death roll begins, using weight and water to disorient and drown. Large prey gets wedged under a snag to soften, shared or fought over later. Smaller bites are powered down with a tilt of the head and a gulp. As the sun climbs, crocodiles bask to recharge, then melt back into channels by late afternoon and dusk. In feast times, they're picky. In lean times, the menu widens. Fish, birds, carcasses drifting downriver, even a catfish unlucky enough to surface in the wrong place. And when the river thins and the buffet shrinks, competition spikes. Crocs jaw clap, tail sweep, and shoulder in for position over a last sliver of meat, while marabou, storks, catfish, and bold monitor lizards circle like opportunists at a clearance sale. Crocodiles are solitary strategists with a social rulebook. Big males own the best basking spots and first rights to carcasses. Size settles most arguments before they start. Displays do the talking, deep bellows that make water shimmy, head slaps that say mine, and arched postures that measure confidence in centimeters. Truces form when the prize is big enough to share, break when it isn't. Courtship is quieter than the feeding scrum, a rumbling duet, a brush of snout, and a brief, careful tangle. Females mound nests of sand and vegetation above floodline. Temperature decides whether hatchlings are more sons or daughters. After roughly 3 months, the young chirp from their eggs, and mother becomes a gentle monster, carrying them in her jaws to the shallows and guarding a creche with a vigilance that would make a bouncer proud. Nile monitors raid nests. Older crocs can be a danger too. In the nursery, survival is a numbers game, and mom tips the odds. As apex predators, Nile crocodiles redraw the map of behavior for anything that drinks, wades, or swims. They cull weak and unwary animals, clean up carrion, and shuttle nutrients from land to water with every meal, feeding whole scavenger guilds, storks, catfish, even the microbes that turn scraps back into life. Eggs and hatchlings feed monitors and mongoose, a reminder that even a king pays into the food web. Listed as least concern, overall, they still face snaring, habitat loss, and conflict at busy fishing banks. Uganda's protected waterways and community programs keep the balance workable. Space for crocs, safety for people. In a season when the river holds only one last meal, the Nile crocodile is the patient handwriting at the bottom of nature's contract. Timing decides. It embodies the spirit of endurance, silent, relentless, and utterly at home where hunger meets water. Dust lifts off the savanna like breath from a sleeping giant. Then the thunder starts, the hooves of Cape buffalo rolling like distant drums under a copper sky. In a realm where teeth write the rules, these herbivores answer with a wall of horn and a plan. Meet the Cape buffalo, Synchorus kaffir, the heavyweight grazer of Africa's floodplains, woodlands, and open savannas. Bulls can tip the scales near 2,000 pounds, all muscle and momentum. Their signature armor is the boss, horns fused at the base into a helmet of bone, turning foreheads into battering rams. When trouble finds them, they don't just run, they reorganize into a moving fortress. Painted in shadow black to charcoal brown, the Cape buffalo is sculpted for pushing back. The body is a tank, deep-chested, with a heavy neck and a ridge of muscle along the shoulders. Ears droop like frayed flags, nicked by thorns and old arguments. horns sweep outward and curl inward, meeting at the boss, a thick, knuckled shield that takes the hit so the brain doesn't. Older bulls wear broader, battle-scarred bosses. Cows carry slimmer arcs, elegant but still formidable. Sparse hair sheds heat, thick skin, and a subcutaneous fat layer, blunt bites and brush. Splayed hooves act like natural snowshoes on mud-soaked floodplains, spreading weight so a half-ton body doesn't sink. The wide muzzle and prehensile lips harvest coarse grasses, while a four-chambered stomach turns tough cellulose into fuel, evolution's blender and battery pack in one. Side-set eyes give panoramic vision, sound and scent do the rest, reading lions with the breeze. Mud is their armor and their spa, cooled backs, smothered ticks, and a fresh coat for the next round. Buffalo are bulk grazers, mowing through swathes of thatch that daintier eaters ignore. They follow the rain lines, mapping green up across the landscape, and drink often. Water anchors their days. Dawn and dusk are prime time. Cooler air, better grass, fewer flies. Midday brings shade, cud chewing, and a wallow or two that turns skin slick with clay. Oxpeckers hitch rides, picking at ticks and sounding alarms with sudden chatter and wing beats. They move like weather fronts, steady, organized, and impossible to ignore. Trails groove into the earth, highways of hooves that other animals borrow. When danger approaches, the mood flips from graze to guard in seconds. Calves slide inward, mothers close ranks, and the big bulls drift to the edge where the horizon matters most. If a lion tests the line, the answer can arrive at 34 miles per hour with a horn-led opinion. Yes, a buffalo can toss a lion clean off its feet. Sometimes the hunter becomes the cautionary tale. Still, not every day is a duel. Most days are grass, water, and the slow, deliberate choreography of staying alive. This is community with a code. Herds can number from a few dozen to several hundred, even thousands when conditions are right. Cows and their calves form the core, guided by experienced females who remember where water holds out and which crossing points end badly. Bulls orbit, sometimes in bachelor bands, sometimes embedded as living shields. Older bulls, the so-called Daga boys, mudmen, may peel off into small, grumpy clubs near waterholes. They're legends for a reason. Hierarchy among males is settled horn to horn, boss to boss, shoving matches and scything head tosses that test strength without spilling life. Calving follows the reins. Newborns are up on wobbly stilts within minutes, tucked into creches watched by multiple mothers. Communication is a vocabulary of grunts, coughs, and low bellows. A lifted chin or a tail twitch can turn the herd. And when predators make a grab, buffalo do something most prey never dare. They counterattack. They've rescued calves, steamrolled ambushes, and escorted big cats to the exit with unambiguous enthusiasm. As living lawnmowers, buffalo keep grasses trimmed and vigorous, cycling nutrients and shaping plant communities. Hooves aerate soil, dung seeds the next generation of green. Their wallows become rain traps and miniature wetlands, nursery pools for frogs and dragonflies. Oxpeckers and cattle egrets trail them for food and warnings, a mobile ecosystem on the move. They're also a cornerstone of the predator economy, feeding lions and crocodiles when fortune flips. Officially listed as least concern, buffalo still face habitat loss, fences that break migration routes, and diseases like bovine tuberculosis. What protects them best is what defines them: numbers, cohesion, and a boss built like a helmet. In a savage kingdom where survival is negotiated daily, the Cape buffalo is proof that unity can look like power. It embodies resilience, the kind that stands shoulder to shoulder and refuses to blink. Dust hangs in the evening heat as the lions of Uganda step from the grass like living embers. Ahead, a wall of Cape buffalo lowers its horns, and the savanna holds its breath. This is the competition for the last meal: strategy versus muscle, patience versus thunder. We're with the African lion, Panthera leo, across Uganda's open plains, places like Murchison and Kadipo, where grass waves, nerves fray, and decisions decide who eats. The lion is Africa's only truly social big cat, a hunter that trades solitude for teamwork. One look sets it apart: the male's mane, a storm cloud of hair; the lioness, sleek and purposeful, every line built for the job at hand. Painted in tawny gold that mirrors dry grass, the lion is sculpted like a sprinter who learned to wrestle. The forequarters are heavy with muscle, the shoulders lifted, the neck thick, perfect for grappling prey that fights back. Padded paws move like whispers. Retractable claws stay needle-sharp until the moment they hook into hide. A dew claw on the forepaw works like a grappling hook during takedowns. The male's mane is more than a crown, thick hair that blunts horn thrusts and advertises strength. Darker manes often signal maturity and resilience. Eyes burn amber in daylight, then bloom with night vision after dusk, thanks to a reflective tapetum lucidum. It's like carrying a built-in moonlight amplifier. Whisker spots map unique IDs, a social barcode for pride life. Inside the mouth, backward-facing papillae on the tongue rasp meat off bone like nature's grater. A flexible spine and long stride deliver short, explosive sprints. No marathoner here, just a ruthless 60-meter specialist. Heat is a constant opponent, so lions pant, seek shade, and hunt the cool margins of day and night to keep those engines primed. Lions are crepuscular by design. The world between sunset and starlight is their office. When buffalo are the target, the pride reads wind and terrain like a playbook. Lionesses spread in a crescent, some to flank, one to trigger the chase, another to cut off the exit. They aim to separate a calf, a tired cow, or a bull that has strayed, because one wrong step against the full herd can be disaster. If opportunity flares, they surge. Forelimbs latch, bodies pile on, and a lioness clamps the muzzle or nose to suffocate, while others anchor the hindquarters. But the battlefield bites back. Buffalo wheel into a living fortress, calves inside, horns out. A countercharge can toss a full-grown lion skyward, all roar and dust. When a kill lands, a second competition begins. Hyenas test the edges, vultures spiral down like impatient umbrellas, and even jackals scout for scraps. The pride drags the carcass to cover, eats fast, and defends harder, gulping tens of pounds in a sitting, then cooling off in the grass with bellies like drumheads, knowing the night still keeps score. A pride is family with a job description. Lionesses are the core, sisters, mothers, daughters who hunt together and raise cubs in creches. Males, often in coalitions of 2 to 4 brothers, hold the territory and act as bouncers at the buffet, defending kills from hyenas and rival lions. There's a feeding order, adult males first, then lionesses, then cubs, though mothers will bulldoze etiquette to get milk into hungry mouths. Communication hums through the pride, head rubs that swap scent, chirps and grunts that keep formation, and roars that roll across miles, staking a claim without lifting a paw. New males mean danger for cubs. In a harsh calculus, takeovers can bring infanticide, followed by a rush to mate and reset the pride's future. Through it all, cooperation is currency, and a well-oiled pride can pull off the kind of buffalo takedown that solo cats only dream about. Lions are regulators, shaping where herds graze and which animals thrive. By targeting the weak, the sick, and the unlucky, they trim populations and keep disease in check. Their kills power an entire after-party of scavengers, hyenas, vultures, beetles, and the soil itself. Cooperative hunting is their superpower, an evolutionary bet that pays off against giant prey. Yet they walk a narrowing path, human-wildlife conflict, snares and shrinking habitat press their numbers. Listed as vulnerable, they survive where protected corridors, community support, and vigilant rangers hold the line. In the hush before the charge and the clash after the kill, the lion embodies nerve, unity, and necessity. It's a living reminder that in the wild, the last meal is never guaranteed, and that's exactly what keeps the savanna alive. Heat shimmers over the grass, and a living tank rolls out of the haze. The rhinoceros doesn't sneak. It declares itself, head high, horn forward, a relic with a heartbeat. In a realm where arguments are settled by weight and will, this is the battering ram of the savannah. One wrong move near a mud wallow, and 5,000 pounds can turn the ground into thunder. Meet the rhinoceros of the African savannah, most commonly the southern white rhino across bushveld and open grasslands. Thick-skinned and thick-set, it looks invulnerable, a survivor cut from the bedrock of ancient time. Unlike social elephants, rhinos lean solitary, drifting between shade and pasture with the confidence of a heavyweight who knows nobody wants to test the reach of that horn. A rhino wears its past like armor. The hide is slate gray and deeply grooved, a mosaic of plates and seams that looks forged more than grown. Up close, you see the details. Scarred skin polished by mud, a dusting of pale soil that acts like natural sunscreen, and a horn sculpted from keratin, the same protein as our hair and nails. That horn can grow astonishingly long, up to about 5 feet in exceptional cases, tapered like a spear and anchored by dense fibers that absorb and deliver force. Small eyes sit forward on a broad skull, but the ears are the stars, tall, cupped, and constantly swiveling, catching whispers the eyes might miss. The square, wide mouth tells you its profession: grazer. A white rhino's broad lips skim lawns of short grass like a living mower, while heavy, splayed toes spread its weight across soft ground. Everything here is function. The barrel chest holds lungs that feed sudden power. The neck is a pulley system of muscle, raising and driving that horn. In a world of tooth and claw, the rhino chose a different path: armor, leverage, and a terrible, undeniable shove. Despite the bulk, this giant runs. Threaten it or confuse it, and a rhino can explode to 31 miles per hour, a gray lightning bolt that can flip a jeep in rare, tragic encounters when boundaries blur. Yet most days are quieter. Dawn and dusk are mealtimes, cool hours spent cropping grasses and drifting between patches like a slow tide. Midday heat drives it to shade or a beloved wallow, where it rolls with the clumsy joy of a boulder learning to swim. That mud suit is multi-tool and miracle. Cooling system, parasite shield, sunblock, even a social cologne when dried flakes carry a scent signature down the breeze. Vision is modest. A rhino might not notice you until you shuffle or speak. Smell is its superpower. It reads paths like a newspaper: who passed, how long ago, what they ate. Dung middens mark territory and broadcast status, a communal message board where every deposit means something. Males scrape, spray, and patrol, Females trace safer routes with calves tucked behind. Most charges are warnings, a harsh punctuation designed to teach distance. But in the savage kingdom, survive first, apologize later is a valid life plan. Rhinos are not hermits so much as introverts. Bulls maintain territories that may overlap with a dominance range. Disputes are ritual before they are war. Posturing, horn displays, parallel walking. When it escalates, horn meets horn, and the hide earns its keep. Cows are more tolerant, sometimes forming loose crashes, especially around rich grazing or reliable water. Motherhood is fierce and tender. A calf shadows its mother like a moon follows a planet, learning routes to water, how to find the right mud, how to place a foot before it places a panic. Vocalizations, snorts, squeals, breathy honks carry simple messages. Stay close, move now, back off. Oxpeckers ride shotgun, plucking ticks and sounding alarms with chattering calls. Predators rarely test an adult, but hyenas or big cats may risk a calf. That's when a 5,000-pound rebuttal ends the debate. As megagrazers, white rhinos manicure grasslands, keeping swards short and nutritious for antelope, zebra, and even young buffalo. Their trails channel rain, their middens fertilize, and their wallows become seasonal ponds where frogs sing and birds congregate. They are engineers as much as icons. Evolution armed them with keratin weaponry, swivel ear radar, and a metabolism tuned to bulk forage, perfect for open savanna. The true test is modern. Poaching and habitat loss press hard, yet protection programs, dehorning in some reserves, and community conservancies have lifted the southern white rhino from the brink, though it remains near threatened and never far from danger. In a land where survival writes the rules in dust and hoofprints, the rhinoceros is both fortress and flame, ancient, stubborn, and astonishingly alive. It embodies the spirit of the savage kingdom. Fight when you must, endure always, and carry tomorrow on your horn. In the glare of the open savanna, a shadow slides between tall grass and heat shimmer. The cheetah waits, coiled spring, quiet fuse, a sports car with spots. When the distance closes and the odds tip, the air itself seems to pull it forward. Meet the cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth, carved by pressure and pared down by necessity. From East Africa's golden plains to southern Africa's thorn scrub, it hunts in daylight, trusting speed where others trust strength. Black tear lines frame amber eyes, a natural sunshade for a predator that reads the world in motion. This cat is all aerodynamics and economy. A slender body, waist narrow as a bow grip, is adorned with small black spots that break its outline in grass. A deep chest houses large lungs and an oversized heart, pistons that slam oxygen through a frame built for sudden flight. The spine is a whip of springs. With each bound it flexes, lengthening the stride to 7 meters or more. Long legs end in semi-retractable claws, more like track spikes than daggers, gripping dirt for explosive acceleration. Enlarged nasal passages gulp air. A lightweight skull with powerful jaw muscles holds on when it matters. The tail works like a rudder, flicking left or right to counter a gazelle's last-second feint. 0 to 60 miles per hour in a handful of heartbeats isn't a boast here. It's a survival strategy. But evolution's trade-off is clear. Where lions are tanks, the cheetah is a race machine. Fast, precise, and fragile if the race runs long. Hunting starts with silence. The cheetah scans from a termite mound, then ghosts forward, using scattered bush and the angle of the sun to hide its approach. It aims for the gap, the calf that strays, the impala that glances the wrong way, closing to within 60 to 100 meters before the fuse burns down. Then, ignition. A blur of limbs, a double air step in each stride, claws biting dust. The sprint lasts seconds, not minutes. By 20 seconds, the engine runs hot. A hooked dew claw flicks at ankles to trip. A throat clamp ends the struggle. Victory is loud breathing, fast scanning, and eating now. Kleptoparasites have heard the news before the cat has swallowed. Hyenas, lions, even vultures spiraling like sirens. The cheetah gulps, drags, and often yields because fighting heavyweights risks the only thing it can't spare: energy. Daily life threads between dawn and dusk. Timing runs to cooler air and smaller patrols from rivals. Hunts fail more often than they succeed, and that's the math of the plains. Rest is shade, grooming grit from fur, and saving fuel for the next chance. Females walk alone until cubs arrive. Then the savanna becomes a mobile nursery. She stashes newborns in woven grass layers, shifts them every few days, and cycles through a stealth routine that would impress a spy. High cub mortality is the rule. Lions, hyenas, jackals, even eagles search the same ground. At around 6 weeks, tiny shadows start following her, learning by imitation. She will stage lessons with slowed prey, letting cubs practice the sprint without the fatal bite, a teacher with no chalk and a brutal syllabus. Males play a different game. Brothers often form coalitions of 2 or 3, stronger together, holding small territories around scent posts and vantage trees. They share kills, patrol boundaries, and act like a lightweight strike team in a land of heavy armor. Communication is a language of chirps, purrs, soft yips, and scent. Fights are avoided when possible because injuries bill straight to the hunger account. Cheetahs are specialists that keep fast-breeding herbivores honest, culling the unwary and shaping the behavior of herds. Their kills feed more than themselves, scavengers cash in, and the nutrients ripple outward. Yet specialization brings vulnerability. Habitat loss, conflict with people, and competition with larger carnivores press in from all sides. Genetic bottlenecks add another worry. The species is listed as vulnerable, with strongholds in parts of Namibia, Botswana, and East Africa, and a race against time to keep corridors open. Conservation here is strategy. Space, prey, and a bit of peace so the fastest cat can just be a cat. In this savage kingdom, the cheetah is both blade and bruise, speed incarnate, and proof that mastery can be delicate. It embodies the spirit of the fight for survival, win in seconds, or pay in hunger. The tallest shadow on the savanna also throws the deadliest kick. When predators attack, this watchtower turns into a wrecking crane with hooves. Meet the Maasai giraffe, Giraffa camelopardalis tippleskirchi, of the Serengeti Maasai Mara and wider Kenyan plains. Unlike migrants that chase rain, giraffes hold their ground, claiming the best vantage points over acacia country. Sculpted for altitude, a mature male reaches about 5.5 meters, eye level with acacia crowns and well above trouble. Its coat is painted in jagged oak leaf patches, dark chocolate islands on tawny seas, each pattern as unique as a fingerprint, and beneath many patches, a web of vessels acts like thermal windows to dump heat. The neck is a marvel of familiar parts stretched to the extreme, 7 elongated vertebrae anchored by a powerful nuchal ligament that counterbalances the head. Up close, the toolkit is all thorn-proof finesse, a prehensile, bluish-black tongue nearly 45 centimeters long, and a rubbery upper lip pluck leaves between spines, while thick saliva and tough mouth lining shrug off acacia barbs. Tufted ossicones crown the skull, thicker and more worn in males, doubling as sparring gear during necking bouts. Long piston legs end in dinner plate hooves, delivering kicks that can shatter a lion's ambitions. Inside, an 11-kilogram heart and high blood pressure feed that altitude. Valves and a sponge-like rete at the brain tame the rush when the head drops to drink. Eyes high, lashes long, ears keen, the whole frame is a lookout wrapped in camouflage. Unlike the great migrant herds, Maasai giraffes stay put and work the neighborhood, browsing their favorite acacias like regulars at a cafe with a perfect view. Dawn finds them ghosting between thorn crowns, black-blue tongues threading past spines to pinch new leaves, then pausing to ruminate. Cud rising, jaws cycling under the dapple of Vachelia and Commiphora. Their signature walk is a slow, sailing pace, both legs on one side, then the other, made for covering ground without drama. Heat climbs, and they manage it with shade, pale patches that vent warmth and strategic idleness. Water is optional. Juicy foliage keeps them hydrated for days. But when they do drink, the tripod, forelegs splayed, neck dipping, turns a skyscraper into a vulnerable fountain, so one watches while another drinks. Oxpeckers ride shotgun, plucking ticks and shouting heads up in feathered Morse code. And when predators attack, the switch flips, heads snap high, the column wheels, and those dinner plate hooves cut the air. A well-placed kick can turn a lion's charge into a rethink. Giraffe society is fission-fusion. No rigid herds, just loose, polite traffic that braids and parts across the same home ranges. Females anchor the map, often gathering in calm nursery groups where calves nap and play, while mothers browse in rotation. Daycare with hooves. Calves drop 2 meters at birth, then stand within an hour. Their first year is a gauntlet where vigilance and a towering escort means everything. Males run bachelor cliques or drift solo, testing the wind for opportunity. Courtship starts with a flamin' taste test of a female's urine. If timing is right, he courts. If not, he keeps walking. Rank is decided neck to neck. Low-intensity sparring looks like slow dance, but real contests swing skulls like wrecking balls, ossicones thudding ribs until one yields. Communication is subtle, snorts, huffs, and a low nocturnal hum that seems to stitch the group back together by night. When predators attack, adults pivot to put height between danger and the young, a living palisade that says, "You want them, you come through me." Resident, not migrant, the Maasai giraffe reshapes its neighborhood day after day. By browsing high in acacia crowns, it prunes trees into umbrella shapes, triggers fresh leaf flush, and spreads seeds in well-fertilized packets, gardening the savanna from 5.5 meters up. Those tall necks double as early warning towers. A raised head and stare can ripple alarm through zebras, gazelles, and ostriches nearby. Calves feed lions and hyenas, while vigilant adults can end an ambush with a single bone-breaking kick, predator and prey dynamics balanced on long legs. Adaptations seal the deal: a 45-centimeter prehensile tongue, thorn-proof mouth, an 11-kilogram heart with pressure-taming valves, and a cranial reti, and heat-dumping oak leaf patchwork skin. In Kenya, only about 35,000 to 45,000 remain, roughly 7,100 in the Masai Mara, down nearly 50% in recent decades from deforestation, human-wildlife conflict, poaching, and infrastructure. The Maasai giraffe is now listed as endangered, pushing conservation corridors and community protection from nice to have to non-negotiable. When predators attack, the giraffe becomes a living citadel, silent, towering, and suddenly unstoppable. It stands as a symbol of composed power and fragile abundance, reminding us that saving height on the horizon is saving hope for the plain. Twilight slides over the savanna, and a slim shadow glides in on silent paws. Ears up like twin satellite dishes, the black-backed jackal listens to the ground as much as the air. Where lions make headlines, this fox-sized hustler writes the footnotes that keep the story honest. In a world of fangs and dust, agility is a survival strategy. Meet the black-backed jackal of eastern and southern Africa, a discreet but relentless opportunist weighing around 17 to 22 pounds. You'll spot it by the glossy black and silver saddle painted across russet shoulders and flanks, and a tail tipped in ink. It moves with light, careful steps, never wasting energy, always calculating odds. Nature stitched this jackal for efficiency. That dark, silver-flecked saddle rides a lean, coppery body, a cloak that breaks up its outline in tawny grass and moonlit scrub. The face is needle-fine, the muzzle narrow, built for precise work, nipping rodents, prying at shells, stripping morsels from bone. Large, triangular ears crown the head, radar at the ready. They pivot independently, scanning for the tick-tick of beetles or the tiny scrapes of a burrowing mouse. Those ears also act like thermal vents, bleeding heat in the noon blaze. Long legs lift the body above seed heads and prickles, and the paws are tough, sure-footed, happy over sand, stubble, or the packed earth of game trails. The tail is a balancing pole with a clear black tip, a punctuation mark that helps family members keep visual contact in low light. Teeth are honest carnivore tools, sharp canines for gripping, scissor-like carnassials for slicing, backed up by a jaw stronger than its size suggests. The coat is coarse but practical, easy to maintain, slow to snag, a color palette matched to dust and dusk. Put together, the jackal is evolution's economy model, durable, low consumption, surprisingly fast off the line when it needs to be. Jackals live by a simple rule: take what the land offers, and don't be shy about seconds. They are omnivores with range, hunting mice, gerbils, and hares, raiding bird nests for eggs, snapping up beetles and termites, and padding into fruiting shrubs to swallow figs and berries whole. When the big cats finish dinner, the jackal clocks in as the night shift, tidying the scene and extracting every last calorie from sinew and scraps. It's the savanna's mobile cleanup crew, a garbage disposal with legs. Activity peaks in the cool hours, dawn's first blue, and evening's last gold. But jackals are flexible. On quiet days, they'll trot at midday in open ranchland. Where lions and hyenas prowl, they melt into the shadows and let their ears do most of the work. The hunting style is part patience, part pounce, an unhurried trot, ears swiveling, a sudden freeze, then a springing leap that brings teeth and paws down together. Find too much food? They cache it, burying pieces for leaner nights. Voice matters here too. Pairs duet in sharp yips and long quivering howls that say, "Home's taken, move along." At the campfire edges of human life, a jackal might ghost through for peelings or spilled grain, as adaptable as any city superhero wearing a cape of dust. Despite the solo mystique, black-backed jackals are team players where it counts. Most live as monogamous pairs that defend a territory with scent posts, scat sign, and those unmistakable yip howls. Older sons or daughters often stick around as helpers, babysitting at the den, bringing back food, and learning the family trade before they claim their own patch. It's a small, efficient workforce with a clear job description. Keep pups safe, keep rivals honest, and keep the pantry stocked. Dens are usually borrowed real estate. Old aardvark holes smartly renovated with fresh entrances and escape tunnels. Pups arrive after roughly 2 months of gestation, bundles of dark fuzz that grow into swift, copper-backed shadows by the time the rains turn grass into walls. Both parents' provision. They gulp food, trot home, and gently deliver dinner with a nudge and a gag. At carcasses, jackals play chess, not checkers, feinting in, dodging hyena shoulders, snatching a prize and vanishing. With African wild dogs, they keep their distance. With lions, they read the wind and the whiskers and wait. Survival here is equal parts courage and tact. Call the jackal what it is, a keystone opportunist. By hunting small mammals, it keeps rodent booms in check. By scavenging, it cleans the landscape, slowing the spread of disease. Seeds swallowed with fruit travel in a furred courier service, sprouting where droppings fall. This nimble mesopredator has thrived alongside giants by being everything the giants are not. Quick to adapt, quick to move, quick to change plans. Listed as least concern, it still runs gauntlets of snares, persecution, and diseases like rabies. Even so, community coexistence and healthy predator guilds make room for the jackal's necessary work. In a savage kingdom, not every warrior roars. The black-backed jackal is a reminder that survival favors the quick, the clever, and the quietly relentless. When October rain kisses the basalt, the plain turns neon green almost overnight, and the ground begins to move. Not rivers of water, but rivers of hooves, and every predator tightens its focus. This is the blue wildebeest of the southern Serengeti and the Ndutu and Ndutu Basin, migration's metronome. With a soot-dark face, ragged beard, and scimitar horns worn by both sexes, it is a grazer built for distance and decisions made at speed. Painted in steel gray with faint, smoky stripes and capped by a dark mane, the blue wildebeest looks like a storm cloud with legs. A heavy forequarter and sloping back give it that unmistakable profile. Muscle front-loaded to power sudden surges and long ground-eating trots. Both males and females carry thick, crescent horns that flare outward and curl back in, a double-purpose toolkit, jousting in the rut and presenting a serious problem to any lion that misjudges its angle. A pendulous dewlap helps shed heat when the midday sun bounces off new grass, while dense, shock-absorbing hooves drum confidently over basalt pans softened by first rains. The broad, square muzzle is evolution's lawnmower, perfect for cropping. Short, protein-rich shoots that explode after October showers. High-set eyes scan wide horizons, and ears pivot constantly, triangulating the low thunder of distant predators or the higher click of eland tendons. Calves hit the ground at around 19 kilograms and stand within minutes, legs spindly, but software preloaded for motion. Tendons and ligaments act like natural springs, storing energy to turn an entire herd into a moving wave. Built for endurance, tuned to rainfall, and armored with numbers, the wildebeest is the engine that pulls the plains back to life. One hoofbeat at a time. October rain wakes the Ndutu Basin, and the wildebeest switch from survival mode to green season efficiency. Dawn and dusk are prime feeding windows, when cool air sits low and new shoots pack the most protein. Zebras mow the taller stems first. Wildebeest follow like precision trimmers, cropping the grass to a tight carpet. By late morning, they bed down to ruminate, hooves kneading the damp basalt pans, dung seeding the next wave of growth. Movement is the day's other rhythm, long, sinuous columns drifting toward fresher patches, then fanning out in loose arcs as bellies fill. Predators read the same calendar. Lions and hyenas shadow the edges, so the herds choose open ground where ambush is harder. At the first alarm grunt, the wave breaks. Bodies surge, then settle. Individuals jink and zigzag to throw off a chase. By late December into January, the nursery opens. Calves hit the ground and stand within minutes, wobbling forward under a wall of adult legs. The herd slows, concentrates, and grazes tighter, every mouthful a calculation between fuel and vigilance in a landscape where opportunity and danger arrive together. Wildebeest society is fluid by design, a fission-fusion system where groups braid and unbraid from dozens to tens of thousands in a day. There is no general in charge. Direction emerges from a chorus of small decisions: who steps, who follows, who balks, until the whole line leans toward greener wind. Mothers anchor the story. Calves are followers, bonding to a specific grunt and scent within hours. If separated, a shrill bleat cuts through the grass and the pair threads back together. During the calving weeks, cows bunch tighter, placing newborns in the safe middle, while vigilant adults take the flanks. Bulls play two roles. Outside the nursery months, especially in the rut, males stake short-lived territories along grazing routes, jousting with horn-to-horn shoves. In the Ndutu wet season, many blend into mixed herds, adding eyes and horns to the moving fortress. Interspecies partners help too. Zebras at the front sample danger and stems. Gazelles profit from the cropped lawns behind. When predators attack, defense is mostly motion. Tight bunching, heads lowered to flash those crescent horns. Then a coordinated break that turns a million legs into confusion. It is crowd wisdom with a survival edge, perfected over thousands of seasons. When October rain wakes the basalt around Ndutu, wildebeest become the plains engineers. A living river of 1.5 million hooves aerates the soil. Their dung fertilizes it, and close grazing trims dry fuel that would otherwise feed wildfires. In step with zebras and followed by gazelles, they create grazing lawns that reboot productivity for countless species. Synchronized calving in late December and January swamps predators with options, diluting risk while 19-kilogram calves stand within minutes to join the moving fortress. Energy-efficient gaits, shock-absorbing hooves, and rumens tuned to short, protein-rich chutes let them track rain with relentless endurance. Fission-fusion herding adapts instantly to patchy forage and prowling lions. Yet this engine faces headwinds, reduced Mara River flow, and shrinking grasslands. Community conservancies and watershed reforestation offer a fighting chance to keep the cycle turning. The wildebeest is the heartbeat of the migration, turning rain into motion, motion into life. Even when predators attack, their surge reminds us that resilience, not fear, drives the wild forward. Hear that laughter that isn't laughter? In the dust-blown dark of the savannah, a spotted hyena clan rolls forward like a rumor with teeth, heads low, shoulders high, confidence multiplied by many. This is the savage kingdom, and their currency is endurance, numbers, and nerve. Meet the spotted hyena of Africa's grasslands and semi-arid plains, from thornbush flats to acacia-studded savannas. Recognized by its sloped back, dappled coat, and heavy, bone-breaking jaws, this predator is far more hunter than scavenger, especially when the clan moves as one. Painted in sandy gold and ash gray with chocolate spots, the hyena wears a coat designed to disappear into high grass at dusk. Evolution sculpted it with long, powerful forelimbs and slightly shorter hind limbs, creating that trademark downhill silhouette. A thick neck, a ridge of coarse mane, and a blocky skull announce exactly what this animal is built to do: grab, hold, and crush. Inside that skull, the jaw muscles are a masterpiece, premolars like hydraulic presses that turn the bones other carnivores abandon into dinner. Rounded ears swivel for stereo hearing, while wide-set eyes read motion at night like subtitles on the wind. Females are larger and more muscular than males, often by a noticeable margin. They carry an extraordinary adaptation, an elongated clitoris and fused labia that mimic male genitalia, a pseudo-penis that plays a role in their complex social world. Thick skin and dense limbs shrug off kicks and horn jabs from large prey. Paw pads are built for marathon work over rough ground. Add a stomach that can neutralize nasty pathogens, and you get a carnivore that wastes almost nothing and survives almost anywhere. Hyenas thrive in the in-between, dusk, night, and dawn. They forage alone, in pairs, or as a strike team, depending on opportunity. Yes, they'll scavenge, but their favorite strategy is a relentless, long-distance run that pushes big prey, wildebeest, zebra, hartebeest, toward exhaustion. Once a target tires, the clan coordinates a rotating pursuit, nipping hamstrings, switching leads, shaving away the prey's options until gravity takes over. They eat quickly and completely, skin, sinew, and bone reduced to fuel in minutes. If a rival pride of lions has a kill, the hyenas run a cost-benefit analysis on the fly. Outnumber the cats, mob and harass, outmuscled, live to fight the next night. Their soundscape is famous, whoops that carry for kilometers to rally reinforcements, giggles that signal stress and excitement, low growls that mean mine, and that eerie laugh the wind loves to borrow. Scent posts paste messages across the territory, a musk-written bulletin board. Back at the communal den, a surprising fact. Cubs arrive with eyes open and teeth already through. In the tightest litters, competition can turn savage, sibling rivalry that in harsh times can be fatal. In this kingdom, even the nursery runs on hard math. Spotted hyenas live in Physian fusion clans that can top 80 members where prey is plentiful. The system is unapologetically matriarchal. Females set the rules, inherit rank along mother-daughter lines, and dominate males, who usually migrate to other clans when they mature. At the top is the alpha female, bigger, meaner when needed, and the final word on who eats first and who backs off. Hyena etiquette is complex. Daily reunions involve ceremonial greetings, tail flagging, sniffing, and yes, erect displays that help confirm identity and rank. Friendships matter. High-ranking females form coalitions, and memory here is long. Allies today may save your cub tomorrow. The communal den is neutral ground where mothers park youngsters while they forage. Aunties babysit, but milk is mostly a one-mother contract. Communication is non-stop, vocal, visual, and chemical, a social web as sophisticated as many primates. And in showdowns with lions, numbers become a superpower. Hyenas can and do push big cats off kills, though the cats return the favor often enough to keep the rivalry honest. Hyenas are the sanitation crew and shock troops rolled into one. As hunters, they trim herbivore numbers. As scavengers, they erase carcasses that could breed disease. Their acids neutralize nasty microbes like a built-in hazmat suit, and their bone-crushing returns calcium and nutrients to the land. Competition with lions and wild dogs shapes behavior on all sides, keeping the predator guild sharp. Though listed as least concern, they face snares, poisoning, and persecution near livestock. Where corridors stay open and conflict is managed, hyena empires endure. Misread as villains, spotted hyenas are really the blunt truth of survival made flesh, efficient, social, and tireless. In the savage kingdom, they embody the spirit of adaptation, unglamorous, unyielding, and absolutely essential. Night squeezes the riverbanks thin, and the grass becomes currency. A hippopotamus heaves from the white Nile like a gray submarine, eyes shining, jaws ready for business. Before dawn shuts the buffet, every mouthful matters. This is competition for the last meal. Meet the hippopotamus of Uganda's calm rivers and lakes, massive, water-wired, and famously misunderstood. In the Kazinga Channel or along the White Nile, pods, often called colonies locally, lounge by day, then rise as one when darkness cools the land. It looks slow, but do not be fooled. A hippo can sprint at around 30 kilometers per hour on land and move through water with startling force, making it one of Africa's most territorial and dangerous giants. Painted in slate gray and chocolate brown, the hippo is a barrel of muscle on stumpy, piston legs. Evolution's amphibious tank. Eyes, ears, and nostrils sit high on its skull like periscopes, letting the animal stay mostly submerged while scanning the world above. The nostrils seal, the ears clamp, and that dense body walks the riverbed rather than truly swimming, a bottom gallop powered by heavy bones that act like ballast. Skin up to centimeters thick, is nearly hairless and constantly sweats a pinkish fluid, nature's built-in sunscreen and antibacterial film, the so-called blood sweat that prevents sunburn and infection. And then there is the mouth, a 150-degree hinge armed with chiseling incisors and saber-long canines, the famous tusks, capable of carving through reeds, rivals, or any mistake that gets too close. Wide lips mow grass low like a living lawn cutter. A stout tail flicks like a paintbrush when marking territory. Everything here is engineered for a life between heat and water, cool by day, graze by night, and defend the precious channel in between. Daylight is for soaking, dozing, and social politics in the shallows. But when the sun dissolves, the pod rises and files out along hippo highways, polished trails through reeds and scrub to feed. A healthy adult can crop up to 40 kilograms of grass in a single night, mostly short, tender blades. They graze with heads down, sweeping side to side, moving surprisingly fast between patches. When grass thins during the dry season, the competition sharpens. Individuals push farther from the water, sometimes several kilometers, timing their return before sunrise to avoid overheating. That last meal before dawn turns tense, shoulders bump, ears flick, and a wide-mouthed yawn blooms in the half-light, a warning display that says, "This patch is mine." On land, hippos are generally less territorial, but at the water's edge, the rules harden. A stranger blocking the path or a rival shortcutting to the river can trigger a low rumble, a dung shower boundary mark, or, if all else fails, a bone-rattling charge. Calm one moment, explosive the next. Because in hippo math, full belly plus safe water equals survival. Hippo society gathers under a dominant bull who claims a stretch of river like a landlord with very sharp keys. Females and their calves form the core, with subadult males orbiting the edges, reading the room carefully. Most disputes are solved with theater, gaping, grunting, and side-by-side sizing, because real fights are costly and leave scars you can count from a boat. Mothers keep calves tucked along their flanks, boosting them to breathe when the shallows deepen, and sometimes parking them in loose nurseries where a few vigilant cows babysit. Communication is constant. Wheeze honks echo across the water. Underwater rumbles travel like secret messages through bone and riverbed. Come feeding time. Departures and returns feel synchronized, cohesion that reduces chaos on narrow trails. But scarcity frays patience. In drought, resting spots shrink, and bulls police access like gatekeepers. That last mouthful of sweet grass can spark a domino of shoves and splashes when everyone tries to beat the dawn. Hippos are nutrient engines. Their nightly grazing and daily dung ferries move fertilizing pulses from land to water, feeding algae, insects, and ultimately fish, a nutrient conveyor that supports entire food webs. Hippo paths shape wetlands. Their wallows carve micro-habitats for birds and amphibians. Adults face few predators, though calves may fall to lions, hyenas, or crocodiles. The greatest threats are drought, habitat squeeze, and conflict with people along rivers. Though still common in protected Ugandan waters, the species is globally vulnerable, and its future depends on healthy waterways and space to graze. In the hush before sunrise, when the grass is short and the stakes are high, the hippo embodies quiet urgency, power tempered by routine. It is a symbol of how survival in the wild can be decided not by a chase, but by who wins the last bite.
The sun is dropping now, and the river glows like a strip of cold steel under the evening light. On the far bank, a herd of Thompson's gazelles hesitates at the water's edge. They can hear the splash of hippos, the low grunts of buffalo, and the rough call of birds settling for the night. Then one gazelle steps in, another follows. The crossing has begun. But the river is never just a river here. It is a test. It is a trap. In the tall grass along the bank, lions are already moving, not rushing, waiting. Their bodies are low and still, like shadows with eyes. One lioness slips closer to the reeds, another circles wide. They know what the herd will do. They know the weakest animal often lags behind. The gazelles enter the water fast, legs churning, heads high. The current pushes at them. The stones underfoot shift and slide. A young gazelle stumbles for just a moment, and that is all the lions need. Suddenly, the grass erupts. A lioness lunges from the bank. The gazelles scatter in every direction. Water flies, hooves strike hard. One animal veers left, then right, trying to find a path to safety. Another bounds back toward shore, only to meet another hunter cutting across the exit. The whole scene turns wild in an instant. Across the river, crocodiles begin to stir as well, their eyes just above the surface, waiting for any mistake in the chaos. The gazelles have no time to think, only run, only survive. The lions press forward with fierce timing, trying to separate one animal from the rest. The herd keeps moving, splashing through the shallows, and at last, the luckiest ones break free and reach the far bank in a blur of dust and breath. The hunters do not all win. They rarely do. But that is the truth of this place. Every crossing is a gamble, and every survivor carries the story forward just one more day. We have traveled across open plains, through river bends, dusty woodlands, and quiet patches of grass where life is always moving, always watching. We have seen how every animal here is connected. The buffalo that keeps its herd tight, the lion that waits with patient eyes, the elephant that shapes the land, the giraffe, zebra, vulture, leopard, hyena, and all the rest. each playing a part in this great wild story. It is a world of danger, yes, but also of family, memory, and hard-earned survival. And that is what makes it so deeply beautiful. In the end, these animals remind us that nature is not far away. It is a living system, full of links we can still protect. The more we care for wild places, the more chances these creatures have to keep doing what they have done for ages. If you enjoyed this journey, please like, subscribe, share this video, and leave a comment about your favorite animal from the plains. Until next time, may the wild always stay with you, just a little, in your heart.